It is early morning at Knowsley. Across the 500 acres of the safari park, the animals are already active. In this last programme in the series, our attention turns from the animals to the men and women who work at the park. There are more than 20 full-time keepers, many of whom have been with the animals for all their working lives. It's their job to ensure the welfare of the animals and the safety of the 600,000 people who visit the park each year.
I think I was always a bit of a wild child, according to my parents, and wanted to see the world and travel. I really got to know the right people and got involved with the Chipperfield brothers, who were at that time setting up Longleat and Woburn prior to here at Knowsley, and decided. My father came from a building background. He had a building business in Southampton, and I was training for that, but opted to go and see the wide world. I went out to Uganda in '71 and landed in the middle of a military coup with Idi Amin, and I was a bit of a greenhorn, couldn't speak the language, and certainly got to know an awful lot very quickly. And dealing with the capture of animals, bringing them from their native land over to this country, certainly set me in good stead to face the sort of comparatively minor problems, I would have to say, with the animals in captivity here. I arrived in early July '71 when the park first opened, literally on the day it opened.
Yeah, story one, story two.
Another recruit to Knowsley in 1971 was Terry Chivers. He had previously worked at London Zoo, as well as the parks of Longleat and Woburn.
Richard Chipperfield, when he was alive, then we were talking to him, and he said within a 50-mile area there's 17 million people. I thought, well, if that doesn't make a go of it, nothing will, because of the population that's around here. Oh, Alice, everything okay? Oh, let's go and see SARS, see what's happening in there. Okay. So it's worked out well. We are the premier safari park in the country. More than obviously a couple of people who won't agree with that, but still, that's our opinion. Well, I like it with the lions. When you go into the house first thing in the morning, when you're coming in to do the check, quite often they'll come up and they'll rub against the weld mesh on you and make noises at you, as though they're pleased to see you, which they are, I think, inside, because they know darn well they're going to be let out in a few minutes. But it's like a cat or a dog when you haven't seen them for a day. They come up and they rub against you, whereas these, they can't rub against you. They're rubbing against the wire, and that's the closest they can get to you. And you just talk to them. I know it might seem strange, but you go in there and you're talking to yourself, but you're talking to the animals. You don't want to frighten them. It's getting a response between you and the animal itself. 9 times out of 10, you've got to think in this job, you're in their domain, whereas in the zoo, they're in yours in a way, but in the safari park, you're in their domain because this is their place. You're in the cage and they're outside looking at you. And they think to themselves, oh, there's a nice bit of meat there. But no, it's just a matter of keeping your wits about you and not getting yourself in a position where you're putting yourself in danger, or putting somebody else in danger. They've got to come and help you out, which is the main thing, especially with the lions.
The last time we saw this male, he was licking his wounds and injured pride after a skirmish with the pride male. As ever, the fight had been about females in the pride, and this younger male seemed to be put firmly in his place. Now it appears he may have made his point after all. He has a female at his side, and the keepers predict he will be the next leader of the Pride in a couple of years.
He will come on eventually. My reckoning is he will be head of the Pride in a few years. He's a lot bigger than the male that we've got at the moment, and he's a lot stronger. He just backs down for backing down Sadek at the moment, we think. He's only 3 at the moment, so he's still got a few years before he grows up, and then he'll probably come in and take over.
The keepers spend up to 8 hours a day with their animal charges. They get to know them as individuals. But while there may be a familiarity between them, there must also be respect. A moment's lapse in concentration may lead to serious injury or even death.
If you relax too much, then it's quite possibly asking for trouble, because, as I say, curiosity killed the cat, and that's what'll happen to you if you're too relaxed. You've got to keep your eyes open all the time, because you get cars coming round and windows open, people leaning out trying to take photographs. And you just got to keep your eyes open to make sure that the windows are kept closed, especially when you're in the lion section anyway. We've never had any accidents, and I think it's just through the vigilance of the staff that are sitting in there all day long doing that, and that's what helps to keep it safe.
Alice Jones has been with the lions for 6 months. Like most of the keepers, her interest in animals began in childhood.
Well, I've worked with animals for a while. I've always been interested in them. I worked in the veterinary practice that sees for the park, just a Saturday job, and then I sent my CV in and they gave me an interview with a junior lion keeper. In some ways they're very like domestic cats. They spend a lot of time sleeping, and then they have little sort of bursts of energy and play. It's different, like with people say love animals, you tend to think of like pets like dogs and cats, whereas you can't be too sentimental with wild animals. You have to understand that they need like their freedom, and that they don't really rely on us for anything apart from food and water. We try and leave them alone, be as natural as possible, really.
Anyone wanting to work in a safari park should take note of Alice's words. Gushing to your potential employer that you love animals is a sure way not to get the job. The relationship between keepers and animals is much more subtle.
A lot of people, if they say they love animals, they just want to hold them and cuddle them all the time. I mean, in this job you can't. The animals where you've got hands-on with are the elephants, because you have to walk them up and down, as you've seen yourself. But the rest of them, like the lions, you keep them at arm's length or even further if you can.
Love's the wrong word. It clouds your judgment. You've got to respect them, you've got to care for them, you've got to feel something for them, but it's not love.
It's not about loving animals. I think it's basically respect and interest initially, but I wouldn't say it's about loving animals.
When we last saw the baboons, 4 or 5 of the biggest males were jockeying for position at the top of the troop. At the time, it didn't look as if any one male would get ahead. But after weeks of filming, Tony stepped forward. It seemed clear he'd had enough of this invasion of his privacy and took it on himself to send the crew packing. Only the car window separated the cameraman from 65 pounds of flying baboon. Watching the baboons' antics day in and day out requires a certain kind of keeper. Sean Holland has been with them for the last 3 years.
I don't think there's many people around the park really like working with them, but I tolerate them and they tolerate me. I get on well with them, really. Another part of it is the people, the public. they tend to, you know, disagree with certain things they do, this, that and the other, but what they've got to understand is when they come into the jungle, they're coming into a monkey world, if you know what I mean. They're coming into their little world, and they've got to accept what they do is, you know, that's the way baboons are. You know, obviously when they drive round and the young ones jump on the car, they look like little, you know, toys you see in shops and this, that and what you buy. They say, oh well, you know, I'd love to take one home, you know, I'd love to, you know, have one as a pet. But you look at the males, you know, when they're older, I mean, it's a death sentence really. You just wouldn't get away with it. But yet the public, you know, the first thing they see of them is a little one jumping on the car, and you know, they kind of fall in love really. But it's not what they're all about. It's really not like a normal job. It's your life really, or it becomes your life. And that's the way it is.
Because not all of us can keep us cool when driving conditions are less than perfect, Northwest Ford dealers are adding a climate pack to your new Ford Focus C-Tech at no extra cost, including air conditioning, quick clear windscreen, and power heated mirrors.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger.
Where have you been today? I went to a funeral. Oh, whose was it? I don't know.
Get your holiday insurance through us. And compared to leading travel agents' prices, you could get up to half off. Direct Line Holiday Insurance. Call 0141 304 2323.
The first animal collection at Knowsley was established 170 years ago by the 13th Earl of Derby. It's a matter of some pride to the present Earl that the park is once again home to a thriving menagerie.
My uncle started the Knowsley Safari Park in 1971, and today, after considerable success, it's built up and is now the largest safari park in the country, and it's wonderful that we can attract over 500,000 visitors a year to come and see some animals that they would not otherwise have the opportunity to see. I think in our own small way, those successes of my forebear are being carried on today with some wonderful breeding programs, and as you look around the safari park, you see the huge herd sizes of many of the species, which suggests they're all happy, and wonderful to see new young for all visitors almost any time of year. There's at least one species or other where they can see a lot of young. If you drive anywhere or indeed walk anywhere near the safari park in the evening, there's some wonderful eerie noises, echoes of Africa.
When you go down this evening with the others, just have a check in the house before you let them in.
The man with overall responsibility for the welfare of the animals in the park is Head Ranger John Hall. He grew up on a farm and also has first-hand experience of the safari parks of Africa. In spite of that background, he ended up working as an estate agent in London during the height of the property boom of the 1980s. He turned his back on that, took a huge pay cut, and applied for a keeper's job at Chester Zoo.
The most rewarding part of the job, for me, is threefold. One is that the animals look healthy, they breed well. Second one is that the staff not breed well, but are happy. And third, probably, there's no order of importance, that the public are happy and appreciate what we try and do. One sometimes feels that they don't. And then you get the odd one who comes up and says this is the best place in the world, and that for us puts everything else into the shadow. 90% of the public are brilliant, incredibly nice people. You know, have an interest, enjoy their day. You get the 10% that make mountains out of molehills. You know, and demands for wiper rubbers to be replaced on their cars, etc. And you have to pacify them, and you know, because their cars are their pride and joys. One has to always smile to the public, and sometimes that can be rather difficult. But we get away with it. I mean, you can always go quietly off into a corner and shout, so no one can hear you, and smile back and come say, yes sir, you know. The animals respond to kindness. I'm not convinced some of the public do.
Unlike zoos where keepers are seen in close proximity to the animals, in safari parks they try to keep out of the way. They only get involved if the animals or visitors need their help.
During the summer months, there's probably 4 or 5 months when the temperatures are right, the climate is warm enough, there's sufficient grass growing on the land to keep the animals self-sufficient. The animals aren't waiting for keepers to come round a corner with another bale of hay, and they're certainly exhibiting and behaving just as they would in the wild, although it must be said they haven't, although they're listening for it as an instinct, they haven't got a predator about to creep up on behind them.
As long as the animals are all healthy and the visitors get through without too much damage, my job is done. There's a very good team, a lot of extremely well qualified keepers in the sense that they've got a lot of knowledge. People like to be reassured when they see keepers, like seeing a policeman. If a chap gets out, the problem we have is that to 90% of the population is that a Cape buffalo looks like a cow. But it's a very, very, very mean cow. And, you know, you don't want to stand in their way. And we have a huge amount of respect for them. But it still looks like a cow, and eats like a cow, you know, and to the fee-paying public, quite rightly, it is a cow. And then they get a bit surprised when they get back in your car, please sir, you know, from a distance. So you'll never win. But less keeper interference, the better. Where else in England can you work with such exotic animals in such a beautiful location? Couldn't ask for better.
I do this job because I love it at the end of the day. I mean, it's a vocation to me, to get up in the morning and not go packing, I don't know, soup and things like that. I get up in the morning and I'm going to my camel, my white rhinos, my eland, things like that, and, you know, and to see a newborn being born, it's like, you know, it's something extra special, if you like. First time you come onto your section, you worry about all the time, like, am I doing this right, am I doing that right? Of course you go home and if you think female eland have been producing really well this year. I had one a couple of weeks ago. She was going, she didn't go while I was there, and when I got home it's like, I hope she's okay. Come in the morning, and it's there, like, at the end of the day, like I say, it's a vocation and you want the best for your animals.
Of all the animals in the park, it is the elephants with whom the keepers have the closest physical contact. It seems to be a happy coexistence, but one which the keepers must never take for granted. More keepers have been killed by elephants than by any other species in captivity.
You get attached to them, you know what I mean? You know which one individually. Because you just been with them, like Chelsea, well, I've been here about 17 years with her. The others when they come in 1993, so the more time you spend with them, the more you get to know them. They all have their own character, their own personality. I mean, they're all different ones. Adega's a difficult one. She's got just a bit of a tusk. She has a mood swings, as we call them. She can be quite aggressive, but She's never hurt anybody, but she can be aggressive. If you're afraid that, you can sense fear. I mean, we've got to know, like, we can trust them and they can trust us. It's just a matter of trust, really, and the lads who you work with, and a matter of trust with them. Just really being a team, really, getting on. They get along with you, get along with them. I mean, you treat them well, they'll be alright. If you treat them wrong, they'll do wrong.
I always look upon the park as a bit like a stage set. We have a sort of 5 miles of road and a 500-acre stage, which we can display the animals to the human eye in as advantageous conditions as possible. The only real restrictions are, I mean, space isn't a restriction, but what is a restriction to exhibit them really nicely is the climate. But when on a nice day, and in the space we're caged up, we're going through their territory. We're the intruders. We stay in our car, we're just completely ignored, but we're going through their backyard. As areas get smaller and the natural terrain it's decreasing by the year, it only takes a natural climatic disaster of one sort or another and wipes out whole populations. And then you are left with the safari park or the zoo, and it's so important that we, even though they're not threatened now, that we keep working as hard as we can.
Safari Tendril Station Sparks Space, Safari 13 you clear.
13 clear.
Safari 2.
32 clear.
Safari 18.
32 clear.
Safari 13.
The end of another day at the park.
Clear.
Safari 7.
The gates close
B7, last car just entered.
and the keepers sign off.
Yeah, roger, thanks, Rob.
The air falls still. Now we must leave, switch off the camera lights and depart. Leaving the animals to their odyssey in this corner of Merseyside, cloaked in darkness.
Stay with us for Beware Bad Drivers next on Granada.
A video of Safari is now available. For further details, please send a stamped addressed envelope to Safari, PO Box 160, Liverpool, L69 2TH.
The new Daewoo Nubira comes with twin airbags, ABS and air conditioning, as well as 3 years, 60,000 miles servicing and warranty, making It's safe enough and durable enough to take whatever is thrown at it. A family car designed around you? That'll be the Daewoo Nubira.
Pay as you go, from 1 to 1. No monthly bills, no contracts to sign, and now calls from just 2p a minute. It's up to you, from 1 to 1.
To celebrate 100,000 new cars on the road, Daewoo are offering 1 year's free insurance on the new Nubira. For information, call 0800 666 222.
Now, let's take a traffic update from our flying eye.
Well, thanks, Trish, and I'm sad to say if you're on the roads today, you're in for a lot of Nazi. Someone's gone swervy, causing a horrendous tailback. Roadworks and the weather conditions just aren't helping either, I'm afraid. There's even been suicidal swans, pigs, and a carrot-crunching kamikaze squad. In short, traffic jams from hell.
Monday at 9 on ITV.
As one of Coronation Street's most popular actresses, she's been through marriages, births, deaths, divorce, and a multitude of traumas. But she survived. Helen Worth celebrates 25 years playing the infamous long-suffering Gail Platt. Live tomorrow on GMTV.
Now, some people drive like they're always in a Grand Prix, but they're bad drivers.